If Allah has blessed you with a high position and you are able to help others because of your position, then you become from the best of people to Allah. And this always reminds me of a beautiful story which we like to use when it comes to status and position and how it is used to benefit the people. The previous Mufti of Saudi Arabia, the great Imam Shaykh Ibn Baaz rahimahullah, whoever learns about the life of this great scholar who only died not long ago, almost 20 years ago, whoever learns about this man's life is amazed and will be amazed the amount of benefit that he put forward for this ummah is amazing. And we ask Allah Azza wa Jal that He sees all of his deeds on his scale in the next life. Ibn Baaz rahimahullah, being the Mufti of Saudi Arabia, no doubt had a very high position. He had a position where he was able to speak and have dialogue with the king, the princes, and whatever else, as it is the position of the Mufti. And a story that happened in the time of Ibn Baaz rahimahullah is that a group of students who were studying in the Islamic University in Al-Madinah, who came from a certain country in the Muslim lands, they found out that a group of their friends who had also studied in the university but had graduated and returned home to their country and were active du'at, calling to Allah Azza wa Jal, they received news that they had been sentenced to execution by the government in this Muslim land. So these brothers who were in Medina at the time, they said, what can we do to help our brothers? They're about to get executed at Fajr. Yani not much time. So they asked one of their teachers in the university, what can they do? They asked one of their teachers. They said, Sheikh, there's a group of brothers, good brothers, sincere brothers, good du'at. And they do not have any of this rubbish or filthy mentality of the takfir or whatever else. But the government had put it on them and had ordered for them to be executed. So their teacher, he said, Wallahi, I do not know what we can do, but we can only hope and try the Mufti, Ibn Baaz rahimahullah. And the brothers, along with their teacher, they narrated this story. And they said that the teacher called the office of Ibn Baaz, and it was late at night. And we know Ibn Baaz at the time was a very old man. He would sleep early. So the secretary of Ibn Baaz answered. So they said, we need to speak to the Sheikh. So the secretary said, the Sheikh is asleep. He doesn't take phone calls now at this time. They said, Wallahi, it's a matter of life and death. And if it was not a matter of life and death, we would not disturb the Sheikh at this time. He said, Khair inshallah. A few minutes later, Shaykh Ibn Baaz jumped on the phone and he said, yes, what is it? They said, yeah, Sheikh, there's a group of brothers from such and such a country. They're about to get executed in a few hours. And they're graduates from the Medina University, and they are good brothers, they are du'at, and whatever else. Ibn Baaz said, let me see what I can do. And he hung up the phone. They said we sat around the phone waiting for it to ring. A couple of minutes later, the phone rings and it's Ibn Baaz rahimahullah. They said, yes, Sheikh, what's the news? He said, Alhamdulillah, it's been sorted out. He got them off the execution. They said, Allahu Akbar. They said, Sheikh, how did you do it? He said to him, listen, I'm an old man. This is my sleep time. Speak to the secretary, I'm going back to bed. So the secretary jumped on the phone and they asked him, what did the Sheikh do? He said, when he got off the phone with yous, he rang the king's office. He rang the king's office, who I think at the time was the King Fahad at the time. And same thing, the secretary of the king answered. So Ibn Baaz said to the secretary, go wake up the king. So they said, Ya Sheikh, the king is asleep. He doesn't take calls at this time. He said, wake him up right now. I need to speak to him. Ya Sheikh, he said, if you do not wake him up, I'm coming to the palace right now myself. They said, La, it's fine. We'll wake him up. They woke up the king and he got on the phone. Ibn Baaz rahimahullah said to the king, he said, there's a group of brothers from such and such a country. They're due to get executed in a couple of hours. You have to do something about it. And the king, he said to him, done. Got off the phone, contacted the government and released them. And freed them from their execution. For this is a sign of someone who has authority and he uses it to benefit people. Subhanallah. Ibn Baz did not know these brothers. They've probably never met him in their life. And by the will of Allah, of course it's from Allah Azza wa Jal, but he saved their lives. And that's why the Prophet ﷺ said, the best of people are those who benefit others.
Albayan Radio, the voice of Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah.